On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, kids and money. So, welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I am joined, as always, by your financial coach, George Corbello. How you doing, George?
Doing well. Family is good. We're all healthy. Uh, Expensive. I still realize my kids are very expensive, with college and high school. We survived Halloween, had a great time with the girls. I mean, my oldest is still in college, so she's, did her Halloween parties and things like that. She did them safely, so I was very happy about that. And my
Good.
youngest, we she went to hang out with her friends. So of course
Right.
Halloween was just for the parents, but we got to enjoy the new neighborhood and the community. Gave out a lot of candy, saw a lot of minions, saw a lot of vampires, saw a lot of dinosaurs. That was fun. I saw a few dinosaurs roaming the neighborhood. So I gotta
Yeah.
say, had a great time though doing that. So I'm loving that people still love Halloween as much as I do.
My kids were on that the costumes where it looks like the alien is carrying you away.
Yes, I love that.
That's what they were into, but my we couldn't find them by the time with the bar mitzvah. Halloween wasn't even on the radar till all of that was over, and so we jumped on Amazon, and all the costumes on Amazon were delivery November 4th or something, and we're like, November 4th isn't going to work for trick-or-treating.
Hmm.
So we went out and bought my older son was those inflatables that are outside the car dealerships that with
Yeah,
the wavy
yeah.
arms, they blow upside down. That's what he was. And my younger son was a stick figure. So it was a black bodysuit, black gloves, black shoes, black mask, black hood, black everything, but it had a LED light that a stick that went down, and then the stick legs, and then the stick arms, and then the face was a stick happy face. And so in the total dark, it looked like a stick figure walking around.
Yeah, I love it. So it was glow in the dark, or was it actual like stick? It was like the neon sticks, but it
Yeah,
glowed in
well,
the
the LEDs
LEDs. Never mind.
were,
Okay, I should be
yeah, so it
listening. It's
looked so
okay.
you could see it. So it wasn't dangerous. You could still see him if you were in a
Gotcha.
car. But yeah, so they all went trick or treating, and then a couple of my friends, a couple of my kids' friends' dads came over, and yeah, we sat in the driveway handing out candy. Well, even to say we handed out candy, we sat in the driveway drinking, and there I put a table by the sidewalk with two bowls of candy.
Nice.
So we really didn't hand out candy. We just left bowls of candy out. But we ended up with a net candy profit. I think I think the boys collected more candy than what we gave out. So
Net profit is a good thing, and in so many ways, especially
exactly.
when it comes to kids and money. So that's a good thing. And For me, it was had some Milky Ways, so I was happy about that. But we did give away chips, like it was those fish crackers and chips that were like healthy chips. We actually got a kid reject. We got a rejection from one of the kids. Like, "No, I'm good, thank you." I was like, "Okay." I guess free choice in even in Halloween candy and
Kids
and
don't
food.
want healthy.
They're not
Kids
healthy. I mean, it's still, but it's just funny. It wasn't chocolate, but it was very funny to get rejected for like, yeah, I'm good.
yeah.
I'll skip this house.
I was going to give out some Magic Mind, but I didn't have enough, and I'm selfish. I want it all
You
for
keep it all
myself.
to yourself. You gave away, you gave away the code. You gave
Right.
away the code to folks about how to get your own, package and subscription of Magic Mind. So that's a good gift on even on
Right.
Halloween.
And as a reminder to our listeners, it is magicmind.com/CD20 for Crushing Debt 20, which gets you 20% off. Magic Mind is a sponsor of the show, but more than that, George and I both use it. We both like it. It both helps. It helps us both. At least I know for me, helps keep me focused during the day. Using Magic Mind, my emails are now under control. We're starting to build systems at the office that to help me run the office more efficiently. So Magic Mind has been a part of all of that, of helping me focus for to make all of that happen. So thank you, Magic Mind. Again, it's magicmind.com/CD20. Um, so I actually came up with this week's idea for the podcast.
Might as well do something,
I mean,
just
every
be
once in
the
a
handsome
while,
host all the
every
time.
every once in a while, a blind squirrel gets a nut, right? So what I was thinking is this all kind of stems from my son's bar mitzvah. And so I got a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of checks and cash and all this stuff. And I had to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so what I chose to do was buy him a 6 month CD that was at about 4.5% interest.
Okay.
So in 6 months, that CD will mature. We'll see what CD rates are then. And then we'll either roll it over into another 6 month or roll it into a year or a 3 month or roll it into something else. But my question for you is the different options that we have as parents to help our kids to invest, and then kind of why I did it to help him start to learn more about money. So what do you I mean, the things that come to my mind, I could put it in a CD, which I did.
Yep.
I could put it in a bank account, although I think if you were going to put it in like a money market savings account or something like that, you'd get better interest in a CD. Um, I guess I could also put it in like an IRA or into a 529 plan. But the
Yep.
challenge there, the reason I didn't use the 529 plan or the IRA, if I use the IRA, he can't get it for another 50 years, 40
Correct.
something years, which I mean, I guess even though it's a really, really low number now with compounding interest, it would be a huge
It'd be
number
a
in
huge number,
40
right?
years. But at the same time, it's not, it was only 4,500 bucks.
Only for how old a
Well,
kid?
my point is 4,500 bucks, I don't think is going to grow to $10 million
Eh,
absent continuing to put money in.
That's true. That's true. But again, even if you let it sit there and do the compound interest and compound growth, it could grow into six, seven figure,
Well,
depending on the amount itself and how
I mean, I
long.
guess what is it? The rule of sevens.
Yeah.
It'll double every 7 years. So if it's in there for, let's call it 42 years, that's doubling 6 times.
Yep.
So 45 becomes 9, becomes 18, becomes 36, becomes 72,
72, right?
becomes
One,
144,
you're getting it.
becomes 288.
So six figures right there.
Yeah, becomes 500 and something thousand
Sound,
dollars.
Shawn, I think it sound you're making the argument for me here. I'm like, wait a second. That's again nice demonstration of how we are dealing with these kind of things itself. So, again, the question for you as a parent is, what lesson are you trying to teach the kid? You got this lump sum of money that came in. Is it the value of saving? Is it the value of giving? Is it the value of spending? Like, what is it that you want to give or to learn as part of this? And you're right. I think for you, some of the lesson is there's growth. So being patient with the money, putting it into a something account, doing something, there's potential growth from that standpoint. But what is the true lesson as the parent that you want to have for your kid? Because you're right. It's like, do I care about 42 years from now? Or am I trying to get a lesson to him, over the next year when it comes to the money? So it really comes back to the parent. What do
Yeah.
you want to do, my friend?
I think I want to more teach him about money. I mean, my thought, and this all stems
Hmm.
from a conversation we had on the show a couple of weeks ago where I was joking about, when he goes to college in 5 years, he'll have a decent amount of beer money. And something that you said that stuck with me is, well, maybe in about 5 years when he wants to go to college, he could use this money maybe to buy a car or to put
Exactly.
a nice down payment on a car. And so that kind of that resonated with me and stuck with me. And I think for that reason, I thought rather than locking it up in an IRA where you can't get access to it for 40 years, um, maybe I'd put it into something that would grow a little bit faster than a money market, and give him a nice chunk of cash. The 529, I think, would also be a good idea. I happen to be lucky enough in a situation where my mom does not need her social security check.
Okay.
So my mom has her social security check carved into three pieces. One piece goes to my niece, one piece goes to one each of the boys. So my mom's social security money is funding my boys' 529 plan. So I do recognize how lucky I am to have that, for them. And maybe it would have been more tempting to put the instead of putting the money in the CD, maybe I put it into the 529 plan if my mom hadn't already been contributing to it.
I like see, and that's the thing, so your mom had a plan. There are certain things that she was looking to do, right? So, and now that's influencing you, like kind of like, oh, what options do we have? Short term, long term, that kind of stuff as well. Ultimately, what do you want to your son to use the money for? Like the money is there. You're like looking at it at growth. Does he have any ideas? Because he obviously knows the money's there. Does he have any ideas or plans he wants with the money?
One of the things that was a little disappointing to me when I put the money in the CD, I said to the banker, "Do I get anything?" I mean, I remember I had CDs when I was his age
Yeah,
growing up, and I think I actually got a physical CD that I could look at, that I could touch, that I could, I mean, I still couldn't cash it in until it matured, but it
right.
was something physical and tangible. And she said, "No, we really don't. There's no monthly bank statements. There's no nothing. I just get I'll get a call or I put a reminder on my calendar sometime around the 5 month, 5 month and 1 week mark to call the bank and see what CD rates are doing." But I wonder if I shouldn't create something tangible, something physical, for him to see, so that he sees, wait a minute, it was $4,500 when I deposited it right after my bar mitzvah, and it's 4750 now, or whatever it happens to be. I didn't do the math, whatever it happens to be. I wonder if I should create something tangible for him to show him that.
I like the idea. It doesn't have value, right? There's nothing that's being done with it. A certificate, something of that nature that allows you to be able to kind of show, and see those kind of things. I think I mean, again, your kid, so what do you think is going to have a bigger impact to him in a sense? He sees something, it's like, oh wow, this is a CD, right? Like here's
Mhm,
the thing, here's what it's worth today, and then obviously when you cash it, let's say it comes out of the account itself, like, oh wow, this is how much it made in that six
mhm.
month period. Something
Well,
like that. So again,
what
trying
I
to show the value of the growth and being patient with the money as well.
right, what I calculated is that in 6 months from now, it should have generated almost $101.50 in interest, give or take. So
I like it. I
I
mean,
might
again,
do,
growth.
yeah, I might do something tangible just to represent, myself. Maybe find something online or something like a certificate or something and print it out. I might do something like that
Why
just
not?
to teach him. But one of the other interesting presents that he got that I may use in a similar way. So one of my clients pools money to loan on real estate.
Okay.
So if he were to create a $300,000 mortgage, and I would put in 50 and you would put in 50 and this other one would put in 100 and this other one would put in 25 and whatever. And then he pays us so the mortgage itself is at, whatever, 11% interest, but he pays us 10% interest. And so he keeps the 1% spread or something. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly, something like that. But one of the presents that he gave, one of the presents my son got was from him. And I guess what he did was he took $500 of value of a $275,000 mortgage and gave that $500 chunk to my son.
Okay.
And so he wrote my son a really nice letter that says, "You got a $500 piece of $275,000. It's going to generate you 10% interest. The loan matures a year from now. When the loan matures and pays off, you'll get the $500. But between now and then, you're going to get 10% interest every month. on that $500 investment.
Yeah.
My son is reading the letter, and I see his eyes light up, and he goes, he gave me $275 million. I'm like, well, first of all, you
Wrong number.
misread you misread the comma. 275,000, not 2 million. And second, you have a $500 piece of that. You
Right.
don't have the full 275. So, it's helping me to explain interest and mortgages and cash flow and stream of payments, and it's allowing me to talk to him and teach him about all that stuff.
So I think let me tell you the other thing that you're also trying to teach him too, right? For kids, we live in that society, the gimme, 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 now, 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 this, right?
Mm,
Power of patience. You're trying to instill in your kids. You have to be able to understand that certain things take time for growth, for compound interest to work, for money to work in your favor. And we still live in a society where I need it now. It's got to happen now. If I don't see the growth now, this is a problem. And I
right.
think these are lessons that we want to teach our kids early when it comes to money, is that being patient can pay off in the long run when it comes
And
to saving, spending, and investing when it comes to your money as well. So I think for you, what I hear, and I love to hear itself, is that like just be patient. Give the money time to do something, put it in a vehicle and a tool that allows it for growth, and then just kind of what is it? Sit there and forget about it
set it and
we
forget it.
set it and forget it. We'll get to it'll be there, and I guarantee you that patience will pay off in the long run. Those are huge life lessons that you're trying to instill in a 12, 13-year-old. And obviously when they're 30 and 40 years old, you're hoping that those kind of lessons itself have manifested into success in the way they're
Right.
dealing with money, and managing those things going forward. He's taken over the law practice and letting you know, hey, Dad, I'm doing a corporate takeover of the firm. He can let you know that all of those lessons that you've instilled with him,
He
he's able to apply now.
so he actually talked about in his bar mitzvah speech, which I didn't know until I had heard drafts of it, but
Hmm.
he talked in his speech about when he grows up, he might want to be an architect,
Nice.
which I was like, wow, oh, okay, go for it. Although at the same time, I have in the back of my mind, when I was bar mitzvahed, when I was 13, you know what I wanted to be when I grew up?
Please tell.
Podcast host. No, I'm kidding. I I I made it. No, I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Ah, vet. Okay,
Yeah.
like dogs, pets, things like that.
Yeah, although my about 2, 3 years later, I went with my mom to the vet for one of our dogs, and the vet had to give the dog some kind of vaccination. And so, with animals, it's a little bit different than us. They pinch the skin, they put the needle in, they inject the medicine.
Yeah.
When I saw him pinch the skin and put the needle in, I turned green and I almost puked. And that's when my mom knew veterinarian was not going to be in my future.
Not the right choice. Not the right
No,
choice.
not in the
Love it.
cards
Love it.
for
Let me
me.
see. When I was 13, what did I want to do when I grew up itself? At that point, I was wanting to be a Ghostbuster. So I don't think that I didn't do any ghost hunting or anything like that. So don't have my PK meter available. But it did.
You wanted to play for the Mets?
I wanted to. Well, at that time, it would have been a good idea. Baseball was one thing itself, but again, sports wise, knew that wasn't going to happen. But
Yeah, no, me
yeah.
neither.
But yeah, it was one of those kind of things that like I think everything was surrounding movies. So I thought I was going to be, in the movies as well. So I was a dreamer growing up, but
Nice.
it's okay to, kind of, I didn't want to say I'm no settling in. I'm enjoying those things as hobbies now in the
Right.
side. So that none of those things went away. It's just more of they're not making the money up
So
front.
putting you on the spot
Yeah.
because you are a handful of years ahead of me in this
Ah,
journey. What
gotcha.
are some things you did for your girls to kind of set them up in terms of money knowledge,
Money
learning about money.
knowledge. Yeah. Well, again, when they did listen, a lot of the lessons, for me, a lot of the lessons that we really talked about was, again, the concept of savings and spending. Having a savings, setting aside when you get paid, whether it was for babysitting or any of those kind of little things that they used to do, having some of the money set aside automatically save your money. Put something aside, 10%, 5%, whatever, but putting something aside. And then the rest of it is either saving, spending, or giving. Again, it's the lessons. Again, the only thing you could do with money. So putting those things into practice. It's very easy. My oldest was very good at, I need to save some money, put some money aside, and I'll spend some money. My youngest is very like, oh, money gone, money gone. And I'm like, okay, lesson. We have to have the conversation in regards to, some of the money needs to be put into a savings account for that rainy day. And
Right.
again, rainy days for kids are different. Like if you want to save for that bigger purchase, patience, the power of patience, even for bigger purchases, allows them to do those kind of things.
Right.
When it comes to investing, custodial 401k is things that I'm looking into because again, I want them to have a early, not 401k, IRA, excuse me, custodial for
Right.
IRA. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So so putting money aside for them every month to help build that starting point for them. And of course, my 20-year-old right now, just having an account where we put something into it. When there's birthdays, put money into those kind of things. So instead of investing on like toys and gifts, I get it, they'll still get those things, but we want to put some money aside for, the future.
Right.
Whether it's a future for the house, the first house down payment, or the first car, or any of those kind of things itself. That's what we're trying to kind of build. My oldest right now has enough to has a few $1,000s where she can, if she wanted to, put towards a car. She was smart and just took mine, so that was a smart idea because again, it's free and he's paying for insurance. So
Right.
smart kid. You gotta give your kids credit where they're like, I'll game the system, so we'll work it that way. But I think again, for me, those were the important lessons. Investing is good. Like some of the things I wanted to do was invest in their future. Obviously, college, investing in college and getting ready for that. That's the other thing too for you. Like, are you ready for college? Because, dude, you blink, you're only talking 5 more years, and you're
I
already talking
know.
about a college. What they're going to do from that standpoint as well. So those were the things that I try to put in place was, getting lessons for them but also like preparing them for those bigger milestones that are coming. Sweet 16, again, I got girls, so Sweet
Right.
16, 18, 21, those big things, college, things like that.
I remember one of the things my dad did when I was bar mitzvahed was, and I think I might have told this story in preparing for Tyler's. One of my dad's partners, CPA partners, bought me like 5 shares of AT&T stock, and for like I don't know, until I got to college. I would wake up every morning, I'd grab the business section of the paper and I'd go and
Right.
check what happened to the value of that stock. And over the years it would split and it would reverse split and it would throw off other shares and it would do this and it would do that. But it made me follow the stock market and probably over the years paid me out, a couple $1,000s in dividends and reverse splits and
Yeah.
buybacks and
Yeah.
spin-offs and all that other stuff. And it kind of taught me a little bit about finance that way. Um, so yeah, that was good.
I like that. I like that. For me, that's kind of advanced training
Right.
in investing itself. But I love that. Again, there's no wrong way to do it. It's if there's exposure. A lot of people today, I think, again, just investing in something, investing either in using CDs or buying something. It's like you got to have the concepts down. Like there are different ways to invest. Love the fact that you're getting a piece of a mortgage where you're making interest. Like there's just different ways to do it. I think what we want to encourage our parents and the parents out there today is, there's no wrong way to do it. Let's do something. Put something in place that allows you to be able to start building that foundation, teaching those lessons. Because I hear way too common, and you, Shawn, you probably hear it all the time as well. Man, I wish wish somebody had taught me this when I was growing up, or I wish I would have done these kind of things for my kids. I'm like, there's no late. Just start. Like, have
Right.
the conversation, start somewhere so that you can start building that foundation, whether they're 4 or they're, 14.
Yeah.
You go start somewhere.
As we were talking, I was thinking when that client, sends me that $500, when the loan not sends me sends my son the five
Yeah,
hundred
yeah, yeah.
dollars when the loan matures, I may tell him, hey, put it back into another one. Put that $500 back into
Invest
another one. Let
again.
it continue to throw off interest for another couple of
Correct.
years. So
Love the idea. And again, it's
yeah,
not money that he's missing at this point, right?
right.
It's one of those kind of things. Like, it's money that's there. And it's good that he knows that it's growing, but it's not something he's like tangibly like, oh, wow, that's 500 that
Yeah,
now I can
it's not
use.
it's not burning a hole in his
Yeah,
pocket.
exactly. Now,
So
let me ask this as part of spending and learning how to spend itself. Was there any time in your thought process to say, give some of that money to him to just use, whether he uses it for savings or spending or whatever? Do we have something for him to learn that lesson as well?
so on top of the money that he also got, I want to say about $800, 700, $800 in gift cards.
Okay.
So I said, you can use the gift cards however you want. But then on top of all of that, the money that I deposited into the CD was from checks and cash.
Right.
Well, after I bought the CD, we had a couple other checks roll in. And then I had a couple of friends that Venmoed the money in.
Yep.
Well, the only way, once it gets Venmoed in, it goes into my bank account automatically. I got to transfer it into his bank
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
So my thought was for that money, which probably totals around another, I don't know, 300, $400.
Sure.
For that money, I'll transfer it into my bank account and then transfer it into his Greenlight account. And then that way he's got, $300, $400. Now, maybe I don't do it right away. Maybe I do it when I know we've got another vacation coming up.
You got it.
Maybe I give him, I don't know, $50 a month for however many months. Like you said, I love the idea of patience and not
Yeah.
having that money
Small
burn a hole
amounts.
in
I
his
love that.
pocket.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I
Give
am
it to
gonna
him over time, and he's gonna be like, "Wow, here's another, like it's an allowance that's not an allowance."
right.
But he gets to, again, you give him that opportunity to start, I mean, thinking for himself when it comes to those money, and not a large, I mean, $50 is a lot of money for a kid, but like, what do you, again, always the question, what do you want to do with it? And
Right.
you can always still recommend, put some money into a piggy bank, put some money
Hmm.
in your wallet, and put is there someone who's in need at this point when it comes to that? We want to, like I said, it's such a vital importance on like what to do with money itself. And I feel like even as adults, we still meet people who are just like that balance between the three. It's so vital. It's like, have that opportunity to do that with your kids. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
this is the time to really, they're listening, especially when that age, they're still listening. Dude, I'm telling you, you're probably about 12 months away where it's like, Dad, whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm starting to get some of that attitude, but that's what I love about the Greenlight account, and
Yeah.
they're not sponsoring the show. It's just something
Yeah, yeah.
that I like. But one of
Product
the
you
things I
use.
like about it is Greenlight automatically splits the money three ways. They give him 70% of his allowance goes into a spending account, 20% of his allowance goes into a savings account, and 10% goes into a giving account. So
Love it. Oh,
at the end
love
of the
it.
year, he'll be able to donate some money. But I don't know. In terms of this week's episode, um, I think we've come to the end.
I always say it's important to invest and invest in your kids, obviously, and spending those times, good conversations, and to be able to instill these types of financial literacy kind of things in their head. We always say it's
Right.
important. You as parents, these are opportunities. I know it's hard when we're struggling, but it's still vital to be that example for our kids when it comes to anything we do. And obviously, it's a focal point with money itself. So,
Exactly.
love having that conversation. I would say, as much as we invest in this podcast, We want others to invest as well, Shawn. Isn't that right?
There is a way. There is a way that you can invest in our podcast if you want to. One of those ways is our sponsor, Magic Mind. And so again, it's magicmind.com/CD20. We use the product, we endorse the product, but if you
Absolutely.
use and order and endorse the product, we'll get a little bit of money in return. So that's one way to help us out. Another way to help us out is our Patreon page, patreon.com/crushing debt. You can always support us there. And then the other way to support us is if you know an attorney or title company that needs malpractice coverage or E&O coverage, you can have them contact Sam at attorneysfirst.com. We don't get any type of affiliate payment from Sam, but he does give us some money, just a flat amount of money towards the show. So those are all the ways that you can support us in addition to just listening and
Listening.
sharing these episodes with your friends. That's the other way.
Download, like, and share.
There you go.
That makes me happy when we see those numbers and just people enjoying the show, and really, sharing that with others, so that they can
Exactly.
enjoy it as well.
So as we get into November, we'll have Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas coming up. We got all kinds of cool stuff we can talk about. But I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. So
Yes.
we hope at the end of the month you have more money rather than at the end of the money having more month. And we will talk to you in next week's episode.